Welcome to Strange Planet. This is what I promised. A spoiler moment. Okay? Here on Strange Planet about Alien Covenant, which I reviewed last time around. Now, I had a chance to really kind of like marinate over what I saw. I mentioned before that there were questions to be answered from Prometheus. Some of them were answered. But in that note, more questions were raised. So I'm going to address pretty much everything that happened in the movie. So buckle your seatbelts if you have not seen this movie yet. Do not watch this until you have. That way you guys can get more of a sense of what I'm trying to talk about here. All right? So ready? Here we go. Alien Covenant starts on the ship, the Covenant. It's a colonization ship with group of people who basically there's a group of about maybe 10 of them that are kind of spearheading this, and they wake up out of a hypersleep in a fire that was started by what's called a kind of like a fluctuation from a neutrino blast is what they called it, from a supernova of a star not far, and it caused much damage. It killed a few people, including our beloved James Franco, who appears in the prologue. So it was like, okay, done, gone, Franco out. Daniels, his wife, is of course grief-stricken, but of course the focus of the mission to go find a planet, this particular planet that they already had their eyes set for. They are on their way to Origai 6, a planet that they have deemed suitable for life and for colonization for humans. Apparently Earth isn't doing too well, so this is their first trip to it. So basically that's their issue. Now, mind you, in the beginning of the movie, we see the creation of David, the android, from Prometheus by his creator, Peter Wayland. We already see in this exchange, okay, you know what? This is bullcrap. Let's get to the questions. Questions and answers. Here's the point. Point 1. David holds the answer to why the engineers wanted to kill us off. If you saw the prologue, you could tell that David he said he learned of their ways. While Elizabeth was asleep, in Carol's sleep, he moved about the ship, got to know the race of the engineers. He wanted to know why they wanted the human race exterminated. If you remember Prometheus, if you remember the end of Prometheus, you remember that it was discovered that they were on their way to Earth to destroy all life on the Earth using the black goo. So why? And that was the reason why they were heading over to the engineers' homeworld to find out why. I think David found out before they even got there. And I think he got him a little ticked. So David had slowly become more of the antagonist of the movie. Now, what sucks is that we don't know still why the engineers wanted the human race eliminated. The only one who knows is David. He killed off all the engineers. Well, at least the ones that were on that planet. For all we know, there are more out there. I think there will be. So on that particular planet, that homeworld of the engineers, any engineers that were left that could have told us why the human race was going to be wiped out, gone. Didn't work. Here's an interesting question right here. How did David synthesize the first Xenomorph eggs? That's a good question. I've come up with a theory, and I think this theory may very well tie into what I theorized in the last, in my review of the trailers and the prologues. It is my heart-held belief, and there's only a theory, I am not sure, but I really believe this, that as you saw in the film, it's clear Elizabeth Shaw died. Whether she died as a result of their arriving there or David killing her, still not sure. I'm kind of in the dark about that. However, we do see her in the movie. We do see her remains. We see her on a table, and she looks like she's been dissected like a freaking frog in high school. in science class, which horrible, horrible. And it's crazy because you see these things attached to her head. I'm like, dear God, what happened to her? What did you do to her, man? She helped you. She put you back together again. And you freaking do this. It sucks. Really sucks. As we can see, David has been experimenting on different forms of life forms, using the black goo as the catalyst, as the base for his experiments. He wants to become creator instead of creation. Okay? And I think this is a classic form of artificial intelligence gone wild. Okay? He's gone really nuts. We all thought that Ash was bad, right? Ripley thought that Bishop was crazy and stuff like that. It turned out not to be the case, but this guy, wow, he's gone into some kind of God complex. He made an interesting point in the beginning of the film to Peter, his creator, to Peter Wayland, which is that he will die and he will not. And isn't that the point of a creator? That the creator who creates doesn't die? You see, so it's kind of like crazy like that. I went off on a tangent. Sorry. I believe that David used Elizabeth Shaw's eggs from her ovaries to synthesize and create the first Xenomorph eggs. Those eggs that we saw, that as soon as we saw them, we were like, oh snap, look out, get away from those. Yeah. The Xenomorph, the base gene structure of the Xenomorph is human. Always has been. Except the black goo makes them these weird creatures. Like the Neomorph that we saw. That's what I think happened. I think he used Elizabeth Shaw's DNA structure and eggs to build and create this perfect organism that he calls it. He calls it the perfect organism because he himself thinks he's perfect. You know, that technically makes Elizabeth Shaw the first Xenomorph queen, right? Something to think about. Here's a question. Why is the gestation span of the Xenomorph and its growth rate so fast? Is it to save more movie time? I hope not. That would suck. David shows the captain of the Covenant the eggs, right? And then one of the eggs opens up. And what does David do? Take a look. Look at it. Look at it. Go take a peek inside. Now, of course, all you people in the movie theater are probably doing the same thing, screaming, no, don't do that, man. Don't do that. What are you, crazy? No, because you knew what was going to happen. The captain should have just been like, nah. Nonetheless, he took a peek, and the first facehugger popped out and got him. Granted, you know, in a movie, we can't speed up time. We can speed up time. We could slow it down in a movie. So it could have been hours. But at the same time, it seems so fast compared to the original film. You know, even Aliens didn't have it like that. You know, like it took time for the facehugger to plant the embryo inside the human host. It took time for the Xenomorph to grow inside the human host before it burst out of the chest. So it was kind of weird how fast it took. It reminded me, honestly, and I hate to make a reference to him, but it reminded me of the Alien versus Predator films, because it was fast like that. The boy in the woods with his dad when they were hunting, but it was too quick. I was like, whoa, he just, what? You know, he just woke up and what? So I'm going to just throw a theory in there to try to make it seem more plausible, at least, or more practical, is that since these were the first proto-xenomorphs, their speed in gestation was faster. And as generation and generation of xenomorphs continue to be produced by actual queens and such like, it stabilized and it lengthened a little bit more. Okay. I know that's coming out of my head. You know, I hope it was in Ridley Scott's head, because at speed, got an issue. I kind of proposed this question earlier. Are there more engineers out there? Most likely they are. Apparently they are some kind of an alien species that have gone on to different planets throughout the galaxy and to create life. They're kind of like, in some weird way, terraformers. It's like planting seeds wherever they go to see what works and what doesn't. It's as if they think they're gods, which explains the cave paintings in the beginning of Prometheus, when apparently they came and visited the ancient peoples, the Egyptians, the Mayans, that whole theory that they had come to check up on us. And apparently now they're not happy. So I believe we are going to see engineers again. I mean, the one that we see in the first Alien film, dead in the derelict ship with the chest cavity burnt, busted out, got there some way, somehow, and hopefully the next film will answer that. Here's an interesting question. Is Origai 6 actually LV-426? That's a good question. Remember, Origai 6 is the planet that the crew of the Covenant were on their way to to populate, to colonize, to begin a new life. Okay, they were bringing with them 1,000 other people, including a lot of little fishing embryos, humans, that were obviously were going to grow when they got there or something. I think so. Who knows? It might have been a suitable planet, and then the events of the next film that will come out will probably make it very desolate, because it didn't look very hospitable when the Nostromo came upon it in the first film. Again, it's possible. I don't see why not. I could see a few other reasons why it wouldn't be LV-426. So I guess we're just gonna have to find out. What does David want with the Covenant? At the end of the movie, David pretends he's Walter. You saw them fighting earlier because Walter doesn't believe in what David's doing. Walter's more, synthetic and by the book. And while David's all this passionate and I'm God and all that kind of crazy stuff. We see what it looked like Walter. I really thought it was Walter for a minute, because you see the stump that he had of what used to be his hand that got bit off or burnt out by the Xenomorph when they went to attack the crew earlier in the film. Walter sacrificed his hand to save Daniel's life. So it was kind of like, damn, that sucks. But you're a synthetic, I'm sure you get a new hand. It's a Luke Skywalker thing. At the end, it turned out that it was David, this whole time pretending to be Walter. David cut off his own hand, apparently, to really look the part. That part happened was at the very end of the movie, when Daniels was about to go into hypersleep, and she asked the android this question: "Are you going to help me build the cabin that we talked about?" And David had that blank look in his face like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. That's when she realized that it wasn't Walter and that it was David. But it's too late. She was already inside the chamber. She was tried to get out. Frantically, she went into a panic. And he put her to sleep. Because she was already in the thing. So he put something in there and it just put her out. So the whole crew now, well, left of the two, it was her and Tennessee that were left. Everybody else died. But all those embryos, all those people are at the hands of David, the android, the crazy android who thinks he's God. So now he's got a whole new lab to work with, the Covenant. He resets the course to Origai 6, the original planet they were set to go to. Maybe that's where he's going to continue his experiments. He's like the freaking droid man scientist. We saw what he did. He went to the freezers where the embryos were, and he regurgitated 2 face huggers. Still small, still early in their development, in these little sacs, these little egg sacs. And he puts them in the freezers. And then he walks away while telling Mothership to play his favorite music. I just started realizing something. Mothership, isn't that like a descendant of Siri? Siri, will you play for me this? Siri, what is this? Siri, what is that? Mother, what is this? Mother, can you play me this tune? Boy, we're getting closer, man. I don't know what to say. Here's another good question. What is the Wayland Company's true intentions? Now, when we see Peter Wayland, he creates these androids, right? But obviously their company goes a lot farther than that. They do a lot of other things. They do colonization, they do military work, they do farming, they do various other things for pretty much the galaxy. And it all stems from Earth. But the thing that irks me is that, well, for one, does the Wayland Company know what David is doing? Is he in some way, some shape or form in touch with them? Are they aware already of his ability to create these creatures? You know, the perfect organism, the perfect biological weapon. Remember, we got to go back to the original premise of the first film. Okay? The company sent the Nostromo to LV-426 to investigate a signal of SOS from a derelict ship, which turned out to be the engineer ship, only to find out that those eggs were there. There were thousands of them down there inside the ship. How it got there, hopefully we'll find out. But, you know, that whole intention was to bring back a sample, one of those animals, one of those creatures, one of those xenomorphs back to Earth for analysis so that they can continue their experiments there and create a perfect bioweapon. Okay, remember, it was for their bioweapons division. As it is further revealed in Aliens, James Cameron's Aliens. So it's kind of like, at what point in the timeline does the Wayland Company get a sense of this? And, you know, who makes the decision to go ahead with such a sinister agenda? Hopefully the next film will answer that question, because without addressing that, I'll consider that a major hole and I'll be kind of ticked. Don't want that. But Alien Covenant, I thought, was a great addition to the franchise. Again, it brought up all these questions I try my best to answer right now for you guys. If you have any theories that you have that I haven't mentioned, that I haven't even had a chance to even think of, comment below and share it with us, okay? I'll be here. So this is Ralph Perez from Strange Planet, signing off. Take care and Godspeed.